Welcome back, everyone. The study Quran normally contains relatively short notes explaining various Quranic verses, but in referencing it recently on Surah 2252, I was surprised to find the comments on the Satanic verses incident go on for paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. And in those numerous paragraphs, Muslim apologetics are on full display in all of their brilliance. The study Quran tries to show that Muhammad didn't actually recite satanic verses and that Muslims can therefore safely ignore dozens of their own sources and a dominant Muslim opinion for the first 150 years of Islam. Here's the defense of Muhammad in the study Quran I'd like to focus on in this video. The story, referring here to the Satanic verses incident, has also been attacked as incoherent on what might be called psychological grounds. The Prophet was a man known for his honesty and trustworthiness, who had, for several years before this incident occurred, along with his followers, suffered terribly for condemning the idols of the Quraysh. Their defense of Muhammad against the Satanic verses incident is interesting, because the study Quran spends about 2,000 pages relying on Muslim scholarship, but this same resource is at pains to discredit the exact same type of sources when it comes to the Satanic verses. But the defense you just heard, we'll call it the psychological defense, is worth examining further. Let's break it down. Muhammad was psychologically sound, or honest and trustworthy. A psychologically sound prophet would not recite satanic verses. Conclusion: Muhammad did not recite satanic verses. But suppose we take issue with premise 1. Muhammad was psychologically sound. Let's ask if Muhammad sounds like a trustworthy guy. We'll start with one of my favorite hadith. Muhammad said, "A group of Israelites was lost. Nobody knows what they did, but I do not see them except that they were cursed or changed into rats. For if you put the milk of a she-camel in front of a rat, it will not drink it, but if the milk of a sheep is put in front of it, it will drink it." Allow me to summarize this very complex hadith. Rats do not like camel milk, but they do like sheep milk, which reminded Muhammad of Jews and means those rats must be transformed Jews. Just a brief side note while we're on this topic, recall, do not mix camel milk and sheep milk. Muhammad clearly said to mix camel milk and camel urine, but that's obviously if you only have a stomachache. Let's move now from this all too brief survey of Muhammad's mammalogy with rats and camels and move on to let Muhammad dazzle us with another topic, his knowledge of herpetology. Here he tries to locate yet another group of transformed Jews by counting the fingers of a lizard. "We were in an army with the messenger of Allah. We got some lizards. I brought one to Muhammad. He took a stick and counted its fingers. He then said a group from the children of Israel was transformed into an animal of the land, and I do not know which animal it was. He did not eat it, nor did he forbid it." Apparently, this impeccable science experiment was inconclusive. The mystery remains. So far, Muhammad is getting full marks for disgraceful anti-Semitism, and he's scoring a big fat 0 in the category of establishing trustworthiness. However, it's in the area of critical thinking and consistency that his brilliance shines the brightest. Muhammad said there is no disease which is conveyed from the sick to the healthy without Allah's permission. A Bedouin stood up and said, "Then what about my camels? They are like deer on the sand, but when a mangy camel comes and mixes with them, they all get infected with mange." Muhammad defeated his argument by saying, "Then who conveyed the mange to the first one?" Did you catch the nuance in Muhammad's methodology in these last several hadith? You can possibly count the fingers on a lizard and possibly conclude it's a transformed Jew lizard, and you can certainly observe what milk rats drink and conclude they are transformed rat Jews. However, if you put one sick animal next to a healthy one, and the healthy one gets sick in the same way as the sick one, can you conclude that the one animal made the other one sick? Not so fast, says Muhammad. We wouldn't want to engage in any wild speculation, would we? But Muhammad isn't finished dazzling us with his knowledge of reptiles. Dazzle us more, Muhammad. Muhammad said, "Verily in these houses there live snakes. So when you see one of them, make life hard for it for 3 days. And if it goes away, fine. Otherwise, kill it. For in that case, it would be a non-believer." From mammalogy to herpetology to entomology, Dr. Muhammad wants to remind you that if one fly wing gets in your drink, then dunk the whole fly into your drink, since one wing contains the disease and the other contains the cure. By the way, did you hear about the person who did not follow Muhammad's advice? That's how coronavirus started. Now let's switch topics and see what the Prophet Muhammad, eminent botanist and geologist, has to say about the last day. Muhammad said the last hour will not come unless the Muslims fight against the Jews. Oh, what a surprise. And the Muslims will kill them. Another surprise. Until the Jews would hide themselves behind a stone or a tree, and the stone or the tree would talk and say, Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. Except for the Garkad tree, because that is a tree of the Jews. At this point, we may be tempted to think that it's just Muhammad's hatred for a specific group of people that's driving him to say things that are just so incredibly stupid. So let's switch to a topic that is not so emotionally charged, where Muhammad will be more objective. When asked about parents resembling children, eminent embryologist Dr. Muhammad replied, if a man has intercourse with his wife and discharges first, the child will resemble the father. If the woman discharges first, the child will resemble her. No, that's actually not how that works. That's not even close to how that works. But while we're on the topic of children, it's hard to imagine someone less trustworthy than a man who would have a 9-year-old playing with dolls taken off of a swing set and brought to him so that he can have intercourse with her. I don't know if it's more or less creepy to look at a baby girl and express desire to marry her, but Muhammad did both for maximum trustworthiness. I also don't know if it's more or less creepy to tell a woman to breastfeed an adult man, but he did that too for double maximum trustworthiness. Okay, it's time for a more sympathetic approach. Sometimes for Muhammad, life was just an uphill battle. It was just one huge mountain of problems. In fact, he was known for climbing up a mountain repeatedly with the intention of jumping off. Now remember, the angel Gabriel talked him out of it, which proves that this is definitely not the Gabriel of the Bible. One wonders if Muhammad could see the sunrise and sunset from the tops of those high mountains. If that's so, that's how he was able to answer this question. One of Muhammad's companions was riding a donkey with him into the sunset. Here's a pop quiz for you. You have Muhammad, one of Muhammad's companions, and a donkey. How many donkeys total do you have? Let me know in the comment section. Muhammad asked his companion, do you know where the sun sets? The companion replied, Allah and his apostle know best. By the way, whenever you hear that phrase, you know something good is coming. Muhammad responded, the sun sets in a spring of warm water. And finally, apparently not known for his consistency, Muhammad asked the same question to the same companion in a different context. The companion responded with the same key phrase, Allah and his apostle know best, at which point Muhammad clarified the sun sets under the throne of Allah. I don't know about you, but when I look at Muhammad's knowledge of mammalogy, herpetology, entomology, botany, geology, solar physics, camel milk, camel urine, contagious disease, Jew-hating talking rocks and trees, transformed Jew rats, unbelieving snakes, children resembling their parents, not to mention him having intercourse with a child, endorsing adult breastfeeding, and, oh yeah, almost base jumping off of a mountain with no parachute multiple times. You know, there's something about the psychological defense against the Satanic verses that seems obviously beyond stupid. Agree or not? Let me know in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.